विश्वामित्र परिषद की ओर से आयोजित इस अनवरत व्याख्यानमाला में प्रत्येक शुक्रवार को हम एक नया व्याख्यान लेकर आपके सामने उपस्थित होते हैं। आज भी इसी तरीके से हम एक नए व्याख्यान के साथ आपके सामने उपस्थित हैं। और जैसे आप सभी को विदित है कि विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद, तो आज के हमारे जो स्पीकर है वो पहली बार भारत के बाहर से है, नेपाल से है। तो मैं सोच रही थी कि जो हमारा परिषद का नाम है, जिसमें विश्व की संकल्पना, विश्व को सम्मिलित करने की जो संकल्पना की गई है, वो आज कहीं ना कहीं पूरी हो रही है। तो मैं आज हमारे भारत के अन्य जगह से एक आयोजित इस स्पीकर को हम आज इनवाइट कर रहे हैं। और मैं सबसे पहले आज का व्याख्यान शुरू करने से पहले उनका परिचय आप सबके सामने देना चाहूंगी। और इसके बाद हम आज के व्याख्यान की शुरुआत करेंगे। डॉक्टर बिनोद घिमिरे, थोड़ा स्पेलिंग में मैं भारत में ऐसी सरनेम देखी नहीं है तो माफ करिएगा। डॉक्टर बिनोद जी, आपका विश्वामित्र परिषद के इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे बहुत बहुत हार्दिक स्वागत है। और आपने अपनी, मैं देख रही थी कि 10th 12th BMS थ्रू आउट फर्स्ट क्लास में आपने पास की हुई है। BMS आपने त्रिभुवन यूनिवर्सिटी आयुर्वेदा कैंपस इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मेडिसिन नेपाल से आपने किया हुआ है। और आपने डिप्लोमा इन योगा एंड नेचुरल मेडिसिन वाल्मीकि विद्यापीठ नेपाल संस्कृत यूनिवर्सिटी से आपने पूरा किया है। और एस व्यासा स्वामी विवेकानंद योग यूनिवर्सिटी, जिसको हम एस व्यासा के नाम से जानते हैं, जहां से आपने MD किया है 2016 में। और आपने बहुत सारे, जो आपने एक्सपीरियंस के उसमें लिखा है कि बहुत सारे लेक्चर्स योगिक साइंस और वेलबींग में आपने लिए हुए काठमांडू यूनिवर्सिटी में। यू आर ऑल्सो मेडिकल डायरेक्टर एट आरोग्य नेपाल। आपने एक योग चिकित्सा नाम की पुस्तक भी लिखी हुई है। You are also teaching staff of the PG Diploma in Yoga, Central Department of Sanskrit, Tribhuvan University. Subject Committee Member of the Yoga Course, Tribhuvan University भी आप अपनी सेवाएं दे रहे हैं। और आपने एज ए गेस्ट लेक्चरर नेपाल आर्मी इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ हेल्थ साइंसेज कॉलेज ऑफ नर्सिंग में भी आपने अपना योगदान दिया हुआ है लेक्चर के माध्यम से। तो ऐसे विद्वान स्पीकर का मैं आज के व्याख्यान के लिए सादर आमंत्रित करती हूँ। और अग्रिम आपका स्वागत करते हुए एक, जैसे ही आपने, मैंने निवेदन किया, तुरंत ही आपने हाँ कही, इसके लिए मैं आपकी सराहना भी करती हूँ कि आप इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे सादर आमंत्रित है। ओवर टू यू डॉक्टर विनोद।
थैंक यू मैम, एंड आई वेलकम ऑल participants for this program, and it's my great privilege to be a part of this CME program. And today I'm going to present on yoga therapy in clinical practice. So I want to go to my PowerPoint presentation.
जी डॉक्टर साहब, हाँ जी। Yes, yoga therapy in clinical practice. जी, welcome बेटा. Thank you.
Thank you, Biani, for this help. And we start our presentation today. The topic of presentation is yoga therapy in clinical practice. So we'll be discussing about the concept of yoga therapy and how we can use these concepts in our clinical practice. So this is our aim of this presentation. And next slide, please. So first of all, I want to concentrate on the concept of yoga. So what is the concept of yoga? And then we'll move on about the yoga therapy. So basically we know many definitions of yoga. Among them, these are the very common definitions. So first one is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha is a definition of yoga given by Mahasi Patanjali. So we know yoga is the mastery over modification of mind. And we have 5 types of modifications of mind. And when there is a mastery over these modifications, then we call it a yoga. This is very philosophical based of definition. And in Charakshmita, it is written that yoga moksha pravartaka. This means yoga is a promoter of self-realization, and we generally use definition from Yagyavalkya Smriti. So it says yoga is samyogo ityukta jivatma paramatma, means yoga is a union between the jivatma and paramatma, means union between the self-consciousness and the universal consciousness. So this definition we usually use in most of the time. And in Bhagavad Gita, there is written that yoga karmashu kaushalam. This means yoga is action in relaxation. So we usually depends on our fruits of action, but the fruits of action is not in our hand. The only relaxed form of work is in our hand. That is called yoga in Bhagavad Gita. And in Yoga Vasishtha, there is a definition of yoga. It says mana prashamana upaya yoga ityavidya. This means yoga is a mana prashamana upaya, means calming down of mind. Basically, we use this definition for yoga therapy. So yoga is mostly calming down of mind for us. So what is mind then? According to yoga, mind is the collection of thoughts. So if we have many thoughts, then we have more agitated mind, then we need to pacify it. We need to calm down it. So the technique of calming down of mind, collection of thought, or speed of thought is called yoga. We use this definition for yoga therapy purposes. Next slide. So before we enter into the concept of yoga therapy, let us discuss about the different layers of our existence. We have basically 5 layers of existence we call Panchakosha. Especially Taittiriya Upanishad talks about 5 layers of our existence. So we usually work more on physical things, but we are made up of by these 5 layers. We can call personality also. So first layer is a Annamaya Kosha, that is called physical layer or physical seat. This is the grossest form, and this seat is actually guided by or controlled by the more subtle layer, that is called Pranamaya Kosha, means vital energy layer. Even this layer is controlled by Manomaya Kosha, which is more subtle than the Pranamaya Kosha. And then even Manomaya Kosha, that mental seat, is controlled by intellectual seat or Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is more subtle than Manomaya Kosha. Now ultimately, the most subtlest form of our existence is Anandamaya Kosha. We call it as a blissful seat or Karan Sarir. So if we are in a complete healthy state, so we have all these layers in the balance form. If there is imbalance in Vijnanamaya and Manomaya Kosha, then we usually suffer from most of the diseases. So we'll talk about all the process of causation of disease also. So basically we have to understand we are not only the physical body, we are made up of all these 5 seats. Even that physical layer is the grossest form, we call it Sthula Sarira, and Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha we call it a Sushma Sarira, and Anandamaya Kosha, that is blissful seat, is called as a Karan Sarira. So everyone is made up of Ananda, bliss. That's why we all source bliss. This is the basic fundamental concept from Taittiriya Upanishad. Okay, next slide. So now I can discuss about the concept of disease in yogi text. Especially in Yoga Vasishtha, there is one conversation between Bhagwan Ram and his teacher Vasishtha. So in one chapter, so there is a clearly mentioned that so Vyadhi is also there. So this Vyadhi is also called disease. So according to Yoga Vasishtha, there are two types of cardiac disease. So one is from internal factors, one is from external factors. The disease which are causing from internal factor is called Adi's Vyadi, and the disease which are causing from the external factor is called Anadi's Vyadi. So for Anadi's Vyadi, there is no options of yoga. We need most of the time medicine, we need surgical intervention, so many things. But for internal disease, the disease which are from internal causes, Adi's Vyadi, so we can have lots of yogic practices. So especially yoga therapy works in this area. And even Adi's Vyadi or internal disease are two types. So one is Sara, essential. Another is Samanya or psychosomatic. So Sara means essential one. Means due to our chitta vritti and lots of stress factors, we are not always in the state of happy mood, not in Sachidananda state. This is also called disease according to yogic concept. That's why we have to take a rebirth, and we have to suffer from the samsara. So this is called Sara type of disease. So we need mostly spiritual practices to overcome this type of disease. So another form is Samanya Vyadi. Samanya is Vyadi. So if there is speed of mind or stress in the mind, then it can manifest into the body also. So these type of diseases are called psychosomatic diseases. So yoga therapy is mostly focused in the Samanya Adis Vyadi according to Yoga Vasishtha. Okay, so all the psychosomatic disorder, mostly non-communicable disease which we face nowadays, comes under the psychosomatic division. So mostly yoga therapy works in this area. Okay, next one. Okay, so here I want to show how this stress or adi can comes to the adi. So what is the basic concept according to the yoga, and we will have a correlation with modern medicine also. So if there is a speed of mind in our Manomaya kosha, and there is intellectual leader we call Kriya Parada in Ayurveda. So this is called Adi according to yogi concept. So this is also called stress, or we say excessive uncontrolled speed of thought, speed of mind. So this is called Adi or stress. So when it is come into the Manomaya and Vijnanamaya kosha, it usually comes to the Pranamaya kosha. So that prana will be disturbed in its nadi, and then Agni will be disturbed. And after that, in weak organ, usually the speed of thought, the speed of prana, uncontrolled speed of prana will be disturbed will be localized into the weak organ part. Then it will be manifested into the disease. But we can see the example like hypertension or irritable bowel syndrome. Let's take example of irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. In case of IBS also, stress is one of the very important causative factors. So there is a strong speed of thought in the Manomaya kosha and Vijnanamaya kosha, and that speed of thought is increased one, and then prana will be disturbed, and it is manifested into the pelvic region, colon region, and then it can cause the disease like IBS. So this is in this way we can see that most of the disease, in case of hypertension also, so same phenomenon occurs. So stress or adi usually comes to the body through these kosha that we already discussed. So we can see this type of thing is correlated with modern medicine also. In our brain there is a emotional center of brain. So this is called limbic cortex. There are many parts of limbic cortex like hippocampus, amygdala, so many parts are there. So this center is called emotional center of our brain. Whether we are in this state of anger or in stress condition, then usually there will be the firing in these emotional center of brain. We call it limbic cortex. After this excessive firing, there will be activation into the hypothalamus, and then the activation into the pituitary gland, and then activation in the adrenal gland, which can finally increase the glucocorticoid, especially cortisol hormone. We call it as a stress hormone. So even small fear, even anger, even speed of thought, we call it stress, can increase so many neurochemicals. Actually, these neurochemicals are increased due to the high amount of cortisol, so which is initiated from the limbic cortex. That's why stress that is inside our mind, inside our body, inside our intellectual thing, even can cause lots of NCDs. So this is how we can correlate the stress physiology to the yogi concept. Okay, next one. Okay, so as I already told, so disease which are causing from internal factors, as Samanya Adis Vyadi, they usually originates from Manomaya and Vijnanamaya kosha. There will be the increased thought, thinking process or disturbed intellect. So this can usually disturb the prana, and prana will be localized into the weak part, excessive prana, that can cause the disease. So this process is called prasava. And Hati prasava is reversal of this type of speed of thought. So we use lots of practices so that we can even reverse back to our initial nature. So that is called Sachidananda. So even in Patanjali, there is one sloka. After Chitta Vritti Nirodha, we can reach into the Paradrastu Swarupi Avasthanam, means we can reach into our inner nature. So that is called Sachidananda nature. So this is the whole idea of yoga therapy. So we have to again come to our Anandamaya pose, blissful there. So this concept is called Pratiprasna, which is clearly written in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Okay, so this is the philosophical thing. But how we use yoga therapy in our clinical practices? So we usually use stimulation followed by relaxation principle. So first we do stimulation. So we have lots of yoga practices, and then we have to do the relaxation practice. Either we can ask the people to feel or take a long deep breath or chant. So this type of things should be incorporated. So in some yoga group of practice like Patanjali group, they usually follow only stimulation type of things, but they don't use relaxation practices. So that most of the time they even suffer from hypertension, they even suffer from other chronic disease, though they are practicing seriously yoga practices. So why this is happening? Because there is no relaxation part of things. So that's why we need stimulation and relaxation. If we do stimulation followed by relaxation repeatedly, our body can enter into the more relaxed phase of things. So it is already studied with one of the meditation technique called silent meditation from Espresso. Even I did my thesis in Germany with these concepts in multiple sclerosis patient. So usually, if you see the Bhagavad Gita, there is one sloka, Samattam Yoga Uchyate. So what is Samattam here? Actually, our autonomic nervous system is divided into two parts, sympathetic and parasympathetic. So during the stimulation phase, usually our sympathetic nervous system stimulates. During the relaxation phase, we have usually parasympathetic nervous system stimulation. So in most of the cases nowadays, with chronic stress, our sympathetic nervous system is overactive and parasympathetic nervous system is down-regulated. And we need to balance these type of things. So sympathetic-vagal balance is one of the very important things nowadays. If you see the hypertension, if you see the coronary artery disease, if you see the anxiety disorders, so we usually get more sympathetic overactivation. In this case, we need to slow down the sympathetic nervous system. In some cases, we usually get parasympathetic stimulation, like irritable bowel syndrome. In some cases of asthma also. So in these cases, we need to slow down the parasympathetic also. So the whole idea of yoga therapy is balancing the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So if you see the classical text, we can correlate these with the Ila and Pingala Nadi, with Ha and Tha. So there is a whole practice of Hatha Yoga which can usually balance Ha and Tha, sympathetic and parasympathetic. Then only we can reach into the other practices. In whole yoga therapy, we use stimulation to activate the sympathetic nervous system, and we use relaxation for the parasympathetic dominance. So we need to do stimulation followed by relaxation. This is the key concept of yoga therapy. And so what's the purpose for this? The purpose of this is to slow down the mind. So that's the Manaprashamana Upaya Yoga Vidhyate from Yoga Vasishtha. Okay, next slide. Next slide. Okay. So what's the role of yoga therapy in our clinical practices? So stress is very common nowadays, according to World Health Organization. Stress is called global pandemic, like COVID nowadays, because everybody is stressed out. So there are so many factors due to job, due to career, due to economy, due to relationship. So almost everybody is in stressful situation. That's why we need stress management. And in most of the NCDs, uncommunicable disease, one of the factors is stress. Stress can increase the cortisol level, as we already discussed. Even high level of cortisol, hypercortisolemia, can increase the sympathetic activation, and that can cause most of the chronic inflammation, like there are increased pro-inflammatory cytokines due to the stress, like interleukin 1, interleukin 6, TNF alpha. These can lead to most of the chronic diseases. So if there is high stress, even we can get a high level of blood sugar, because high level of stress can increase the level of glucagon, which is antagonistic to insulin, and stress can increase the insulin resistance also. So this means even in most of the non-communicable disease, stress is one of the factors. So yoga therapy is a very good tool to reduce the stress. So this is one of the important role. So another thing is it can increase the health of the individual. So if people are not even disease one, it can increase the quality of life. It can improve the health of the normal individuals. That's why yoga is also important thing. And another important thing is there are lots of non-communicable disease nowadays. So whole disease is shifted from communicable disease to non-communicable disease. And in non-communicable disease, so we need lots of intervention. Prevention is also one of the very important key tool to reduce the burden of these diseases. That's why prevention is very important. Yoga therapy has a very good role to prevent this type of diseases. Especially nowadays, we use lifestyle medicine. So lifestyle medicine is very famous nowadays. It usually talks about diet, stress, addiction, relationship, all these things. So if we can concentrate on these things, we can usually prevent these type of non-communicable disease. That's why yoga is a very key mantra for this type of lifestyle medicine. And nowadays, everybody talks about yoga. So yoga therapy is very important key for the prevention of non-communicable diseases. So another important thing is psychosomatic disorder. So stress is one of the very key component for the psychological disorder, along with other psychosomatic disorder. Even in case of chronic back pain, even in case of chronic pain, even in case of chronic gastritis, whatever may be the chronic diseases. So there is one important factor of stress. So stress have a direct relation in some cases. In some cases, stress has an indirect role. If you have a stress, you can have a very bad diet, you can have a very sedentary lifestyle also. So this can even indirectly it can increase the bad lifestyle. So so that lots of psychosomatic disorder can happen. So yoga therapy has a very key role in this area. So another important thing is it can increase the self-awareness. So people can be the self-care state. So they can do self-care, they can do very good quality of life. We talk about more lifestyle changes, but most of the people, they feel difficult. But if you follow yoga practices, it will be easy to have a self-care, self-discipline. That's why yoga therapy is also important. Nowadays, quantity of life is increased, but quality of life is the major issue nowadays. And even with medicine, even with advancement of technology, it's very difficult to get very good, happy people also. That's why we need a quality of life, and yoga therapy has a number of studies which can so it can increase the quality of life. And another important thing is it can increase also antioxidant level, so it can help in aging process, it can help to cope up the very unhealthy as well as a very stressful situation also. That's why yoga therapy is very important. Another important thing is happiness-based lifestyle approach. Modern approach nowadays is basically fear-based approach. So they talk about fear, like if you smoke, you will die with cancer. If you drink, you will die with liver cirrhosis. Doctor talks about all these things, but night they use all these things, even they know all this. This means even fear-based approach is not the sustainable goal, sustainable lifestyle approach. Very happy, very relaxed, very silent, very calm, and because of this, there is chances of repetition. There is chances of following this type of thing because everybody seeks happiness. Nobody wants misery. That's why this happiness-based lifestyle, which is based on yoga, is more sustainable, more adaptable to the most of the people. That's why lifestyle approach has a very famous nowadays, and yoga has a very good role in this. And another important thing is rehabilitation. So rehabilitation, basically, if we can reverse the initial condition, that's the best thing in rehabilitation. But in some cases, it's very difficult to reorientate the function, regain the function. And in that case, we need to increase the quality of life. We need to enhance the daily life. With yoga, it's very easy to enhance the daily activities. In case of coronary artery disease, in case of arthritis, in case of psychiatry, in case of addictions. So this type of rehabilitation is being used, and yoga has a very good role. Number of evidences are there. So these are the important role of yoga therapy in our clinical practice. Okay, next. So then, how we can modulate the yoga therapy in our clinical practice? This is one of the most important things. And I know, as an Ayurveda physician, we know the basic concept of yoga, basic yoga practices also. But it's very difficult for most of the people, most of the physicians, to make a yoga module. So what is the basic concept for that? Okay, let's talk about this. So first and most important thing for the yoga therapy modulation is to know the contraindication. Okay, so then only we can avoid the contraindicated practices. For example, if somebody is having knee pain, then we are giving Padmasana, lotus pose is very good, very important practices for meditation. Okay, you have to perform Padmasana, lotus pose. This is the best. If they are telling like this, what will happen? The pain will definitely increase. So, in case of osteoarthritis, we have to avoid this. This is just example. So similarly, if somebody is having sciatica, Gradarsi, and we say, Surya Namaskar is a very good practices. American sports medicine already talks about this. And if you can repeat 10 times, it can have a effect similar to 30 minutes of walk, moderate intensity of exercise. Why not to do this practice? So if you think like this, what will happen? In case of sciatica, so pain will be definitely increased with the forward bending. So these are just examples. This means we have to know the contraindicated practices. And these contraindicated practices should be kept in the mind. Then only we can make a modulation. So we have to avoid this type of practices. Our main intention is to help the people not to provoke the symptoms of the patient. So this is the first thing. Second thing, we have to focus on safety and ability. For example, if we are telling, oh, if a person is telling, oh, I have very lack of concentration, I'm 70 years old, and we know Vrishasana is very good for the concentration, then can we try for this? It may be difficult because there might be some fall injury, there might be some imbalances also. So we have to think about the safety also, and their ability also. And most people say, oh, Vrishasana is very good. This is the king of the pose. Why don't you try? Okay, definitely Vrishasana is very good, but for most of the asana it will be very, very difficult. Okay, so we have to think the ability also. So based on that, we have to make a model. And so how do we make a model then? We select the best practices from basic sets. We have only few basic sets. So we have to select the best practices. For example, if we have to select the asana from or simple list of asana, then we have to think the asana for the specific disease. So how we can think especially? So the whole concept is, so where there is a stretching, where there is a compression, there will be the changing blood flow. So it can have an impact on that area. For example, if somebody is planning to have a yoga therapy model for the thyroid disorders, then we have to select the yoga asana from basic sets which can either compress, either stress into the neck region. For example, Simhagarjanasana, Sarvangasana, Bhujangasana. So this is how we usually select the best practices. Okay, and then we have to add remaining ones. So the best practices will be few only, and then we have to make other practices. So we usually follow Susumyam or jogging, and then asana and pranayama, and then some meditation and yoga nidra. So these are the common yoga steps. So we have to add remaining one, and the whole idea is to follow the stimulation followed by relaxation. For example, if we are asking for geriatric population to do some Susumyam like joint loosening exercise, then most of the time people will follow the number only. So 10 times very fast, and then slow, and then another practice. So this type of practice is usually not helpful to relax the whole autonomic nervous system, to balance the autonomic nervous system. So we need to do very consciously with very good awareness, with breathing also, and then after maybe 8-10 rounds, then we need to relax and we need to feel the changes also with the closed eye. So this is how we usually make a modulation. So usually in practice we have two types of modulation. One, usually we make a 1 hour, 1 to 1.5 hour yoga model for the OPD based practice. For example, if somebody comes with hypertension, so what will be the yoga model? So what are the practices you will suggest so that he can do in his home? So this is one way. So another way is in the residential setup. So from morning to evening, residentially we follow integrated approach of yoga therapy. Means whole yoga program from morning to evening without so many gaps. So that patient can have a very inner programming. So basically two types of modulation we usually do. So for IOIT package, residential package, we need a very good expert and we need a very good setup also. And for 1 hour yoga model, we can suggest in OPD and we can make a yoga model and we can ask people to follow this type of thing. So this is how we make a yoga modulation. Okay, next slide please. Okay, so for 1 hour, So we have to select the uh, specific practices. We have to avoid the contraindicated practices. And we have to make a 1 hour model. If we say is like already I told, we need to do Susumbayam or yogic jogging, and then Surya Namaskara and asanas, and then pranayama, mudra, and then we usually go with meditation and yoga nidra, short yoga nidra. So we follow this type of pattern in most of the practices. But in case of residential setup, we do Ekikrit Yoga Chikitsa, integrated approach of yoga therapy. So why people say integrated then? So usually some people say yoga means Ashtanga yoga. Means Yama Niyama Asana Pranayama Mudra Bandha. So Yama Niyama Asana Pranayama Pratyahara Dharana Dhyana Samadhi. So some people say only Raja is a yoga. Some people say bhakti, so singing, bhajan, singing, or dancing for the sake of God. So this is only yoga, some people say. And some people say only karma is enough, karma yoga is enough. So some people say intellectual analysis is enough, that is only yoga. So, but we have to work in all these areas. If we do integration, if we do if we practice all these things according to the person's nature, then it will be easier to get a Manoprashna Manopaya, as we already talked about the concept of yoga therapy. So integrated approach of yoga therapy is being used. Is a very famous term. So based on our posha, we already talked about seat. We have a different yoga practices. Though these postures are not of watertight compartments, they are very much interlinked with each other. For the sake of practice, we usually follow these type of practices. For Annamaya Kosha, we usually ask the people to have a Sakti Bhojan and asana practices, Sakarma practices, some practices Mudra and Bandha. For Pranamaya Kosha, vital seat, we usually use Swasan, means breathing exercises in the pranayama. These breathing exercises are the preliminary practices which can enhance the lungs function, so that we can have a Kumbhaka and pranayama practices. And then for Manomaya Kosha, we use meditation technique, some bhajan, kirtan and nritya also. So whole idea is to slow down the mind. Then Vijnanamaya Kosha, we usually do Jnana Vivechana, means happiness analysis. Usually we ask people to ask the question, who am I? So what is the happiness? What gives happiness? So we ask people to think about this. So most of the people, they are always running over the money and all this position for the sake of happiness. But happiness is not outside. So happiness is inside. You slow down the mind, you will get happiness. Such type of things we usually teach from different with different metaphors, different stories in case of Vijnanamaya Kosha. So then Yoga Paramarsa. So we need to do correction in our recognition. So Pitta Parada is already discussed. So we need to redirect our mind not to the outside sense things, but it has to be redirected towards the self or the spirit. So this type of things are there. So this is the Yoga Manobrahmasa. We use so many pratyahara practices. Then Anandamaya Kosha, we ask people to do Dharma Yoga. So we have a very good Ayurvedic practice center in Nepal. So here we ask people to do Karma Yoga, like we ask them to work in the field, even clean the dishes. It's a part of Karma Yoga. So how these type of things usually can slow down the mind, slow down the disease. So there might be some questions also. So nowadays people are so much stressed of, they have so much perfectionist nature. This type of nature is called type 1 personality, type 2 personality. So too much workaholic nature is there. Too much narrowness in work is there. So this can usually limits our consciousness. So even in case of hypertension, if we ask them to work in the field, work in very simple things, then their stress can be reduced. Nowadays people in Western country, they use social supports, volunteering work type of things to reduce the stress level also. So Karma Yoga is one of the very important tool for the enhancement of our peace and anandamaya process. So basically we use all these things as a integrated approach in case of residential setup. But in not non-residential setup, OPD based things, it's very difficult to do all these integrated approach. That's why we use 1 to 1.5 hour, very simple type of yoga model. Okay, next one. Okay, so as I already told, so these are very few examples. So there are many lists, but I just want to give a very few overview. So we need to know the contraindication first. Then only we can work into the yoga module. So contraindications should always be kept in the mind before we think about the yoga module. So these are the very few contraindications. There might be the endless list also, but for the sake of the mindset and your way of thinking, I am just mentioning some things. So as I talked, Karma is one of the very important tools, very good approach for detoxification. If body is clear, then mind can be clear. That's why in yoga, there are lots of suffering practices. So among them, so these are a few. So for contraindication, Jalnati is contraindicated in otitis media and recent axis. Lipoma is indicated in case of increase in cranial pressure, like brain tumor, increase intraocular pressure like glaucoma and conjunctivitis. In case of Bamandavati, usually people get very red eye. That's why we avoid Bamandavati in conjunctivitis. Similarly, in case of hypertension and coronary heart disease, we usually avoid Bamandavati. Bamandavati means we take very enough amount of salt water, so then it will automatically vomit out. So in case of active peptic ulcer also, we avoid Bamandavati. In case of sciatica and hernia, so why in case of sciatica and hernia? So Bamandavati usually increase the intra-abdominal pressure. That's why we avoid Bamandavati in case of sciatica and hernia and other cases also. Similarly, Laghu Shankha Prachalan. In Shankha Prachalan, it is a cleansing of all gastrointestinal tract. There are two versions. So one is very complete one. 15 to 20 glasses of saline water is usually taken. But in case of Laghu, we usually take 6 to 8 glass, and it can cause a diarrhea. It's like a sadhya bleaching type of things in Ayurveda. It's a very good thing also to reduce the vata also. And in case of active ulcerative colitis and active fissure we usually avoid this type of Shankha Pracharana. In case of Choti Trata, we usually avoid epilepsy, migraine with visual aura. So in case of Kapalvati and Bhastrika, we usually avoid hypertension. In case of hypertension, in case of coronary artery disease, in case of epilepsy, in case of sciatica, we usually avoid Kapalvati and Bhastrika because hyperventilation usually increase the chances of epilepsy, and Kapalvati usually can increase intra-abdominal pressure that can increase the sciatica. Similarly, Kapalvati and Bhastrika can increase the sympathetic nervous system activation. So in case of hypertension and CAD, sympathetic overactivation is already there, that's why we avoid. In case of hypertension and CAD, we usually avoid inverted asana also. Similarly, in yogic joint, is all avoided in osteoarthritis of sciatica, hypertension and CAD. Surya Namaskara is contraindicated in fever, sciatica, CAD and hypertension. The whole idea is it can increase the intra-abdominal pressure. Similarly, it can enhance the sympathetic activation in most of the cases. Forward bending usually avoid in hypertension, CAD and sciatica. So these are only few lists. So the whole idea is if you know the basic physiology and the pathophysiology of disease, then we can think about the contraindications also. Why I am giving so emphasis in contraindications is people practice yoga, people refer lots of yoga, but many times people usually get very much issues with with the yoga practices also. So in case of So people in our country also, they follow lots of group like Patanjali and other practices like dynamic practices like from Osho. So many groups are there. They usually do yoga practices in the morning. They are very good volunteer-based yoga groups, and they are doing lots of things. But the whole thing is uh, about 20 to 30%. They usually suffer from most of these diseases. Even they do yoga, but they suffer from hypertension. Why this is happening? Because the relaxation phase is not there. Even their contraindication is not clearly thought about. Okay, that's why it should be very personalized one. Okay, next one. So, as I already talked, contraindication, very few lists of contraindications. There might be other lists also. So, I just wanted to give you some insight on that. So, what are the basic yoga practices then? Because yoga is so vast, so many practices are there in Hatha Yoga texts also, in so many texts. But what are the very simple things, very easy thing to do in our daily practices then? So, these are the very few lists. So, among them, Satkarma. Satkarma means 6 cleansing techniques I already talked about. Like Neti, Pamandavati, Nauli, Kapalvati, Basti. So these type of things are there. So among them, Jalnati, Pamandavati, Sakapsavan. These are a very easier one to do and very effective one also. In case of chronic disease, if you can't do proper Panchakarma, like Paman, like variation, then we can do Pamandavati and Sankaprasalan as an alternative one. They don't need Purva Karma and Paschat Karma is like Panchakarma therapies. So it will be easier to perform also. So Karma will be very good option for that. And another is Susma Vyayam. So usually we do very gentle loosening type of exercise. So we usually move all the joints wherever it is possible. So with very awareness, with very good sensation. So these are called Susma Vyayam. Another list is yogic jogging and like very dynamic, fast practices, like a PT-based practice. Though these are not a classical yoga practices, but nowadays people usually do these type of practices. So these are very good for the most of the psychosomatic disorder, like psychological disorder. In psychological disorder, there is a speed of thought, very much speed of thought. So if we want to reduce the speed of thought, we need to do very fast practices. These yogic jogging are very good for these type of things. And for the initiation of other practices also, yogic jogging is very good because it can increase the heat of the body so that the flexibility will be high. That's why we usually do yogic jogging in initial condition. But there are some contraindications for that. So these involves very fast dynamic practices. So most of the time it's not useful for the osteoarthritis, sciatica, hypertension, CAD, such type of things. So we have to think about this. And another group is Shakti Vikasana. And Shakti Vikasana, these are the muscle strengthening one. Like in case of cervical spondylosis, we use such type of things, such type of practices. So basically, to retrain the specific muscle, we use Shakti Vikasana. And there is one book by Swami Dhirendra Brahmachari. Its name is Susma Vyayam. You can refer this book for Susma Vyayama and Shakti Vikasana. So many practices are there. So based on that, easy practices you can choose. So another important practice is Surya Namaskara. Surya Namaskara is a very good practice according to American sports medicine. So it can have a moderate intensity of exercise if we can do around 10 rounds. Means we can classify the exercise from met value. Met value is a metabolic equivalent. Means how much energy is being consumed in comparison to the resting state. This is called met value. One met means so basic resting energy. So based on that, how much energy is there in comparison to that? If you have a 3 met value means you have a exercise which can consume the 3 times of exercise in comparison to resting. So this is how we usually classify the exercise. So for cardiopulmonary functioning and betterment, so we need to do moderate intensity of exercise It's per the American Heart Association guidelines. So Surya Namaskar can have a moderate intensity of exercise. It can have a 3 to 6 times energy consumption as compared to resting. So this is enough to have a good heart and lungs function. That's why Surya Namaskar is very good practices. And then it has very good role in the stress management as well as if you do Surya Namaskar fast, we can activate the sympathetic nervous system. And very slow and very with very awareness and maintenance, we can enhance the parasympathetic. So it's very important practice. Similarly, so lots of asanas are there. But in basic practice, we usually select very few practices which are very easy to perform from the different group of practice, like from standing, from sitting, from supine, from prone or inverted. So from these group, we usually select 2-3 practices because only doing asana is not enough. We have to feel the sensation, we have to feel the relaxation after asana. In case of in Patanjali, it is written that Pratna Saitilam Ananta Samapattiram is the most important key for the asana. So Sthira Sukhama asana and then Pratna Saitilam Ananta Samapattiram. If it is not very relaxed one, if it is not very conscious one, then it's not a yoga, asana itself. That's why we don't need very much number of practice. We can select very few practices. So whole idea is of selecting asana is we have to think about the position. Like if you want to work in the abdominal region, so we have to select the asana which can have either compression or stretching in the abdominal region. If you have to work in the back, then we have to select the back asana which can have a stretching effect in the back. For example, Bhujangasana, for example, Setubandhasana. So this is how we usually select from the basic yoga practices. In breathing exercise, if you have a pranayama, we need to do very long deep breathing. So this type of breathing is called as a breathing exercise. We usually do with some body movements like hanging out and there's so many types of things. Pranayama basically we have very few practices. Anulom Vilom Brahmari. So for these practices there is no any contraindications. So we use in most of the cases. For other things we have to see the contraindication. Fast breathing like Kapalabhati and Bhastrika. So these should not be done in case of seizure and sympathetic overactivation. So this is how we usually think about the pranayama practices. And meditation, there are so many meditation techniques. So among them mindfulness meditation, transcendental meditation, cycle meditation. These are a very famous one. But in most of the cases, if you want to have a very slow down state of mind, then we need to do very chanting based meditation. For our practice, we usually select Om meditation with very high level of chanting and then only slow down. So it will be the easier and very convenient one. Though there is one book, Vijnana Vairava Tantra, so there we can see one or two types of meditation technique. Even we have beyond these type of meditation techniques, so many techniques are there, but we have to select very simple and very doable things. And Mudra and Bandha, that's one easy we select. And yoga, basically we do very short version of Yoga Nidra. And the whole purpose of Yoga Nidra is to feel the very relaxation state, to rebalance our body, to do the very inner way of feeling. Basically, Yoga Nidra usually stimulates our five state of mind. So our five state is usually, if you see in EEG, it's 8 to 12 hours of frequency. It's very healing and relaxing. We usually get in case of Sirodhara also. So Yoga Nidra we usually select in the end of the practice. So basically, so we think yoga practices from basic yoga practices. If you want to have some glimpse, you can select some of the books like Asana Pranayama Mudra Bandha from Bihari School of Yoga. This is a very good book. Even I have written one book, but it's in Nepali language. It will not be convenient for you. Next slide. So this is one module of hypertension. So as I already told, we should think the contraindications what. So how do we make 1 hour yoga module then? So this is one example with hypertension. So we can think with all diseases. So yoga therapy is basically person-centered. And here, so what are the contraindications for the hypertension? So we have to think first the contraindication, like no Surya Namaskara, no yogic jogging, no inverted asanas, no forward bending, no Kapalbhati, no Vastrika. So basically we think like this. So Sushma is not a contraindication, but it's a typing error. I'm sorry for that. So then we have to think about the remaining practices. What are the remaining practices? So Sushma Vyayama, breathing exercise, sitting and standing asana, pranayama, except contraindicated it is Kapalbhati and Vastrika, meditation and yoga nidra. So we have to make a yoga model from these practices. So this is how we will use. For example, Sushma Vyayama, you can think about 10 minutes. Breathing exercise, you can have a 5 to 10 minutes. Sitting asana, standing asana, you can select 10 minutes. And pranayama for 10 minutes. Meditation for 5 minutes and yoga nidra for 10 minutes. So this is how we usually make. So these are the rough timing, it's not the exact one, but this is how we usually think. So in case of hypertension, in the remaining practice also, we have to think the best practices. For example, breathing. In case of pranayama, we have to think about cooling pranayama. So these are the best practices for hypertension, which are very parasympathetic dominance nature. So this is how we usually make a yoga model. So you can see lots of yoga model validation in research also. So if you see hypertension yoga for hypertension module research in Google, then you will get validated yoga model. So usually people do model this type of validation with lots of experts. They usually send common practices to 10 to 15 experts. Some expert, they do the rating. So most rated practices they include in the practice, and then they do the piloting, whether this practice is effective or not, or people are feeling easy to perform or not. So this is how usually people make hypertension or any disease model. So you can see such type of model in this also. So this is the common idea I am sharing with you. So next slide. So another model similarly, obesity without any other disease. So how do you think yoga model then? Contraindication is not there. So any practices can be done. What are the emphasis then? So you have to do emphasis on the repeated detox and dynamic practices. So more abdominal practices because abdominal obesity is high. So right now still breathing. More Kapalbhati and Vastrika because they have a more energy consumption values. And then deep relaxation. So in case of obesity with hypertension, so how do you think then? So first we have to see the contraindication. So no dynamic practice, no right nostril breathing, no Kapalbhati. Then even in case of obesity with hypertension, you have to select the practices from Sushma Vyayama, practices from the pranayama, which are not contraindicated, standing asanas. So this is how we usually make a yoga model. So this is more technical one, I think. Okay, next one. Okay, so this is how we usually make a yoga model. So I think I can conclude this session. So if you have any question, we can have a discussion on that. Thank you for your patience and support.
जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर साहब, बहुत डिटेल में इतना अच्छा डिस्क्रिप्शन था, बहुत सारी स्लाइड मैंने पहली बार देखी और मुझे लगता है कि पीजी कोर्सेज में सभी डिपार्टमेंट में योग का एक पेपर होना चाहिए कि कोई भी रोग है उसके साथ योग किस तरीके से हम उसको ऐड करके करवा सकते हैं, और मुझे लगता है कि ये बहुत ज्यादा बेनिफिशियल रहेगा। और जैसे मैं आज तक पंचकर्म के बारे में सोचती थी ऐसे कि पंचकर्म चिकित्सक या पंचकर्म वैद्य सभी के सभी डिपार्टमेंट के साथ होने चाहिए, क्योंकि दुनिया में दो प्रकार की चिकित्सा है, संशोधन संशमन। तो एवरी टाइम संशमन तो नहीं काम करती, तो संशोधन काम कर देती है और फिर हम संशमन पे शिफ्ट कर सकते हैं। ऐसा ही कुछ योग का भी मुझे लगता है कि योग में पर्टिकुलर एक एमडी हो रही है, वो तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, मगर आपका इतना डिटेल डिस्क्रिप्शन था, ऐसा लग रहा था कि एक एक रोग के बारे में भी बहुत अच्छा, कोई न कोई सिस्टम्स के बारे में, जैसे रोगों को लेकर भी बहुत अच्छा एक लेक्चर और हो सकता है। और मैं जरूर आपको आमंत्रित करूंगी कि आप हमें डिसीज वाइज भी ये चीज बताएं, तो जिससे हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स का भरोसा और भी थोड़ा सा बढ़े, और ऑलरेडी है तभी तो इतने सारे लोगों ने ज्वाइन किया है। मैं एक दो क्वेश्चन है डॉक्टर साहब ले लेती हूँ इसमें से।
थैंक यू मैम फॉर सपोर्ट।
जी, डॉक्टर कविता अग्रवाल कह रही है, फॉर डिफरेंट पंचकर्म विच टाइप ऑफ योगिक क्रियास विल बी हेल्पफुल, प्लीज रिपीट द बुक नेम्स।
Okay, can you repeat the question, ma'am?
डॉक्टर साहब आपका चैट बॉक्स खुल सकता है क्या?
Ma'am.
में है। हाँ जी, हाँ जी, कविता अग्रवाल, मुझे लगता है आप पढ़ेंगे तो जल्दी से समझ में आ जाएगा।
Okay, so there are many books available in India. I think yes, Vyasa, Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhan Sansthan, they have already published many yoga therapy books. So like yoga for diabetes, yoga for hypertension, yoga for back pain. I think you can follow this type of books. Even they have a CDs also, so videos are also incorporated in that. So these will be very good thing. And another book is Asana Pranayama Mudra Bandha, which is from Bihar School of Yoga, which is easily available in PDF also. You can download also. You can read this one. So another book is by Sadhbir Khalsa. Sadhbir Khalsa is very famous modern medicine doctor. He usually practices in USA and very good yoga researcher also. He has written one book with Sidley Tellis. Sidley Tellis was one of the very famous name in yoga research. So yoga in clinical practice. So this book is also available in PDF version. You can go to the PDF drive and you can download this thing. So these are very few books which can refer to the clinical practice. And another book is Yoga and Disease, Roga or Yog in Hindi by Bihar School of Yoga. This is also a very good book. So you can refer this type of books. So if you want to have a PDF version, if you are not getting from the internet, then you can write me so that I can send you. So, okay.
जी धन्यवाद डॉक्टर साहब। डॉक्टर शशि तिवारी जी ने पूछा है, रेफरेंस इन द योग वशिष्ठ, वेयर चैप्टर नंबर?
That chapter I have to see the book, but you can get in Yoga Vasishtha. Yoga Vasishtha is a very big book of yoga. And there's one book by Yoga for Positive Health by S. Vyasa, Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhan Sansthan. There's one book by S. Vyasa, by S. R. Nagendra and R. Nagar, who are very famous in yoga. S. R. Nagendra is a yoga teacher of our respected Prime Minister Narendra Modi also. So there they have written the exact version of Yoga Vasishtha also. So the disease, concept of disease, how you God Rama asked with Vasishtha, the exact sloka and all references are also there. So you can follow this book also, or you can go to the Yoga Vasishtha and search in some of that book also.
जी धन्यवाद डॉक्टर साहब। डॉक्टर संगीता वर्मा has asked one question. If allopathic medicine is started for hypertension, then can it be stopped completely by this therapy after 55 age?
Yes. So first of the thing is we have to think the secondary causes of hypertension. So 5 to 10% cases are secondary causes. So if it is completely genetic one, if it is due to the alcohol, smoking and other neurochemical changes like pheochromocytoma or the tumor or the renal stenosis, so we have to rule out the secondary cause first. If it is not due to the secondary cause, luckily 90 to 95% of cases of hypertension are primary cause related. So in these cases, definitely we can reduce the medicine, even we can stop the medicine. The whole thing is we need to do the continuous monitoring. The most dangerous thing is people, they follow the lifestyle, they they can reduce the hypertension, but they don't monitor regularly, and they think, oh, I am Okay, and they will usually stop the practice, and then again symptom will reverse. So this type of thing is also there. But if people are conscious and they are regularly monitoring, then definitely we can reduce the hypertension. And we have published one multi-center trial in hypertension in Nepal. Usually I prepare 30 minutes of yoga model. You can see in PubMed Index journal also. So this practice is able to reduce the hypertension. In our clinical practices, if it is severe type of hypertension, like if it is more than systolic more than 160 or diastolic more than 110, we don't give any yoga asana, any movement type of thing. We usually prefer people to do very long, deep breathing, especially left nostril breathing, and then cooling type of pranayama. So these have very good results. In case of your OPD also, so you can suggest very few practices and you can see the results. So Chandra Nadi Pranayama means you can ask the people to inhale and exhale very long and deep from the left nostril breathing. Left nostril can enhance the parasympathetic activity. So there are some researches also. And very long deep breathing, 6 cycles per minute breathing for 5 seconds can reduce the blood pressure. There are some studies also. And cooling pranayama, Anulom Vilom Brahmari. Very few practices they can complete within 15 to 20 minutes. Even these sort of practices can definitely have a reduction in blood pressure, and we have very good results with this thing. The whole thing is, though people they reduce the blood pressure, we need to ask them to monitor regularly. This is the most important thing. So in your question, definitely yoga can reduce the dose of medicine, as well as it can stop the medicine also.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। और नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन है, एक डॉक्टर नेहा शर्मा ने पूछा हुआ है, कैन यू थ्रो लाइट ऑन द प्रत्याहार एंड समाधि व्हिच आर पार्ट्स ऑफ द अष्टांग योगा?
So pratyahara is a fifth part of Ashtanga Yoga. So in pratyahara, usually our mind redirects towards our inner consciousness. So in our clinical practice, we usually do yoga nidra as a form of pratyahara. In case of pratyahara, there are multiple thoughts. But in case of dharana, there will be the single thought, dharana and that. And if you are concentrated on one object, this is called dharana. If you are trying yourself, then this is called dharana. But if it is happen automatically after practicing few times or after some long time, then you will enter into the dhyana. Dhyana is an automatic state, it is a effortless state. And then if even the content of dhyana is not there, even you are not separated from the content of thought, then this state is called samadhi. But I think I am not in the state of explaining in samadhi because I don't have any samadhi experience. But philosophically, these are the few concepts in the text.
जी डॉक्टर, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर। डॉक्टर कविता अग्रवाल ने क्वेश्चन लिखा है चैट बॉक्स में, प्लीज पंचकर्म सब्स्टिट्यूट योग क्रिया।
So you have to understand few concepts, few comparison between panchakarma and satkarma. Actually, panchakarma is more intense and more what we can say, very aggressive one we can say. And actually, according to panchakarma, we need to move our dosa from sakha to kosta, and then only we can expel out our dosa from kosta. That's why we need purva karma. And we do pradhana karma, and then we need a pasat karma. So it takes long time, but it's a very deep detoxification, deep healing. But in sat karma, even we do vomiting, we do diarrhea like a Sankapsavan. So these looks like Vaman and Viris in Panchakarma. But the effect of Sat Karma, like Baman Dauti and Singha Prasadana, is a only localized one. So they are more focused on the GI tract only. So that's why the Suddhi of Sakha is not possible with Sat Karma. So this should be understood. But the most important thing is it's very easy to do, and if you teach people for once a time, they can do it in their home itself, and there is no need of intense Purva Karma and Pasat Karma. Very simple, in very simple way we can do. But if you want to have a very deep level of detoxification with Sat Karma like Pomandauti and Singha Prasadan, we can do one thing, we can repeat these things with alternate days, either 2 days or 1 day, in 3 days. Just repeat Boman Dauti Sangha Prasadan for longer period. Then repeated Pusta Suddhi can have a indirect impact in the Sakha, so that we can get a treatment of Sakha related disorders also. So repeated detox is one of the options which can be complement or alternative to the Panchakarma. But the level of detoxification with one-time Sakarma is very less in comparison to Panchakarma. That's why if we need more intense purification, we definitely need Panchakarma. But for our purpose of easiness and easy to handle, Sakarma is one of the very good options.
जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर साहब। और डॉक्टर कविता जी ने भी बहुत ज्यादा नाइस एक्सप्लेनेशन एंड धन्यवाद कहा है, और आपने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से बहुत सारे प्रेजेंटेशन के साथ साथ अच्छी खासी क्वेरी को भी आपने सभी को बहुत अच्छी तरीके से सेटिस्फाई किया। और आज हमारे साथ वैद्य काशीनाथ जी समगंडी भी उपस्थित है, जो अपने विश्वामित्र मिशन के अधिकारी भी है। और अच्छा, उन्होंने कुछ लिखा है, सर, if Shatkarma is not for Shakhagat, then why they mention that Shatkarma is mainly in the Medovikas?
Okay, so the question is, so there is a clearly mentioned that if there is a high amount of Kapha and Medo dosa, then we need to do Shatkarma according to Hatha Yoga. And the whole idea is, if we do it very repeatedly, then only it is useful in case of Kapha and Meda disorders. But for the normal people, for the normal relaxation purpose, we usually don't repeat the Sakarma practices. So we usually ask people to do after 15 days in 1 month. So this is how we usually advise. So if we advise in this way, usually it's very difficult to treat the Meda and Kapha Vikara. If you want to do Sakarma for Meda and Kapha Vikara, we need to do repeated practices. Then the whole, if you see the Ayurveda text also, if you have a Pusta Suddhi very repeatedly, then definitely we can have impact on the Sakha also. So this is how we can think.
जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर साहब। और मेरे जो स्टूडेंट्स जुड़े हुए उनको तो पता ही है कि यहाँ राष्ट्रीय आयुर्वेद संस्थान में मैं अपनी प्रैक्टिस करते समय बहुत सारे रोगियों को योग और प्राणायाम के लिए स्वस्थ रूप विभाग में भेजती हूँ। और मैं एक छोटा सा ही वाक्य बताना चाहती हूँ, क्योंकि योग कितना ज्यादा जरूरी है। मेरे पास एक पेशेंट आई थी, डॉक्टर रामावतार शास्त्री जी, शास्त्र विभाग, और उनके कोई रिलेटिव्स थे, और वहां से घर से बिल्कुल फोन आया कि बिटिया है संभालना, और उसको अलुगियम मेनोरिया था, और 90 डेज, 120 डेज, 110 डेज, इसमें उसका इंटरमेंस्ट्रुअल पीरियड था। और अभी वो लास्ट 5 साल से सिर्फ अपना नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ आयुर्वेदा के योग डिपार्टमेंट से बताए गए योग और प्राणायाम, जिसमें मुझे जहां तक याद है सर्वांगासन, भुजंगासन, पश्चिमोत्तानासन और 8 ऐसे योगासन थे, और उसके माध्यम से वो बिल्कुल ठीक है। सिंस लास्ट 5 इयर्स उसने सिर्फ योग से अपना मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल नॉर्मल अमाउंट एंड नॉर्मल इंटरवल इन बिटवीन द साइकिल उस बिटिया ने, क्योंकि तब वो स्कूल गोइंग गर्ल ही थी, 17-18 साल उम्र रही होगी उसकी, और उसने मेंटेन किया हुआ है। तो मैं समझती हूँ कि ये बहुत अच्छा उपयोगी चिकित्सक के लिए भी, क्योंकि मुझे समझ में आता है कि जब तक हम अपने पेशेंट्स को ठीक नहीं कर देते ना, तो हमारा मेरी तो प्राण अटके रहते हैं उसमें कि किधर गलती हो रही है, कि पंचकर्म करवाए क्या, योग करवाए क्या, उसको साइकोलॉजिकल सत्वावधि करे क्या, कैसे करे इसको, है ना। तो मैं योग का बहुत ज्यादा सहारा लेती हूँ, और मेरा हमेशा आप सभी चिकित्सक से भी निवेदन है कि कहीं ना कहीं औषधियां कम करने की कोशिश करिए। पहले महीने भले आपने कुछ लिखी जो भी आपको उचित लगी, मतलब सेकंड मंथ में 1-2 कम कर दीजिए, थर्ड मंथ में और कम कर दीजिए, और ये पेशेंट को बताइए कि देखिए मैं आपको बिना कोई दवाई सिर्फ दिनचर्या और योग प्राणायाम के माध्यम से अपनी सामान्य जिंदगी जीने के लिए तैयार कर दूंगा या कर दूंगी, है ना। तो मुझे लगता है कि ये बहुत बड़ा पॉजिटिव पॉइंट रहेगा हमारा, और मुझे लगता है कि सभी चिकित्सकों को उसको अपनाना चाहिए, क्योंकि मैं इस बात से बहुत ज्यादा फायदा उठाती हूँ। तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर साहब, और आपने इतना जबरदस्त लेक्चर दिया, और मैं समझती हूँ कि बहुत सारे चिकित्सक उसका फायदा उठाएंगे, अपने रुग्णों को भी वो उनमें से लाभान्वित करेंगे। और मैं डॉक्टर काशी जी को 2 शब्द कहने के लिए आमंत्रित करती हूँ। डॉक्टर काशी जी। हाँ, आवाज आ रही है।
I am in airport. I was unfortunate that I could not listen today's speaker completely. When I got आपका जो मैसेज है, तब मुझे लगा जुड़ना है। जैसे ही मैं टेक्नोल देखकर योग करता था, इट्स माय इंटरेस्ट एरिया। सर बहुत बढ़िया रहा सर आपका। मैंने लास्ट में आपका क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन ही 2-3 ही सुना, उसमें बहुत कुछ मुझे मिला। थैंक यू वेरी मच। वही क्योंकि शास्त्र में जो बोला है ना, जैसे कर्म निर्गमोचिका है ना, वही कर्म अभी जो सज्जो विरेचन हो, सज्जो मन का भी कॉन्सेप्ट आयुर्वेद में, वो सज्जो मन सज्जो विरेचन हो। एक बार जो हम चक्कर करते हैं उसको हम इसको कंपेयर कर सकते हैं, लेकिन शास्त्र में जो हमारे आयुर्वेद शास्त्र में जो शास्त्र वमन विरेचन हो या परिक्रम जो बताया ना, उसको हम कंपेयर नहीं करेंगे। इट वॉज वंडरफुल सर, वंडरफुल टू लिसन यू। मैं आपका नंबर भी कॉन्टेक्ट मैडम से लूँगा और आपसे कॉन्टेक्ट करूँगा। एंड बहुत अच्छा लगा सर आप लोग आके और यहाँ ज्ञानवर्धन की बातें होता है, बहुत अच्छा लगा। थैंक यू सर। थैंक यू सर।
जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद वैद्य काशी जी, आपने अपने विचार रखे और स्पीकर्स की हौसला अफजाई करी, और आप जब भी ज्वाइन करते हैं तो हमारे लिए भी एक अच्छा उत्साह का विषय हो जाता है। और मैं विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद की ओर से डॉक्टर विनोद जी का तहे दिल से शुक्रिया अदा करती हूँ, धन्यवाद करती हूँ कि आप हमारे निवेदन पर यहाँ आए और आपने अपना ज्ञान और अमूल्य समय हमारे इस ज्ञान यज्ञ में आहुति के रूप में दिया। और मैं समझती हूँ कि विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद का ये प्लेटफॉर्म 21 नवंबर 2015 से अनवरत प्रत्येक शुक्रवार को जो व्याख्यानमाला कर रहा है, जिसका उद्देश्य है श्रेष्ठ वैद्यों को निर्माण करना और आयुर्वेद भारत की राष्ट्रीय चिकित्सा पद्धति बने, बिल्कुल नेपाल की भी बने। हम नेपाल को बिल्कुल हमारा ही एक हिस्सा मानते हैं, तो वहां भी ऐसा ही हो। और मुझे लगता है कि आयुर्वेद प्राचीन वैभव को प्राप्त करे, जो मैगस्थनीज, यूएन सांग, फाहियान और बहुत सारे ट्रैवलर ने भारत के बारे में और हमारे आयुर्वेद के बारे में अनेक बातों का उल्लेख किया है, वो वापस एस्टेब्लिश होना चाहिए। और कहीं ना कहीं मुझे लगता है कि बहुत सारे अच्छे चिकित्सक के निर्माण के माध्यम से ये दिन जल्दी से आएगा। तो डॉक्टर साहब, विश्व आयुर्वेद परिषद की ओर से आपका पुनः बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और सबसे अंत में मैं डॉक्टर सीमा से अनुरोध करूंगी कि आप शांति मंत्र करवाइए।
जी मैम। सभी को नमस्कार। कृपया सभी शांति मंत्र दोहराएं, अपने आप को म्यूट रखकर। ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, कश्चित् सुखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। धन्यवाद।
बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर सीमा, डॉक्टर विनोद जी का, आज के स्पीकर का तहे दिल से धन्यवाद। सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। अपनी अपनी जगह पर आप कार्य करते हुए नई नवीन ऊर्जा के साथ, योग को साथ में लेते हुए, बहुत सारे शुभकामनाओं के साथ, विश्व कल्याण की कामना के साथ अपना अपना कार्य करते रहे। धन्यवाद। नमो नमः।
Thank you everyone. Namaste.